This is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film. And today I am thrilled to be speaking with the acclaimed solo violinist, singer, songwriter, actor, Adrianna Mateo. But before we get to our interview, here is a sneak peek at the incredible talent of Adrianna.
I gotta go, I got a show, it's a Monday night, Joe's Pub. Lock my gaze, smile, slay, I'm built to win. Singing my shot, down second thoughts, leaving you behind was something I needed. Ooh, success, a full night's rest and an empty bed. Ooh, success, my heart's a mess. I'm built to win, but at what cost? Baby, if I win, does it always gotta mean love lost? Why does it still hurt? Guess I'm still learning, yearning for you. Baby, I miss you, I wanna kiss you. I'm built to win, and I lost you. Ooh.
Well, hello, Adrianna. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, thanks. And you?
I'm doing so much better now that I'm speaking with you. And I love that the audience got a little sneak peek of your incredible talent, of your incredibly oversold show just the other night at the acclaimed, renowned Joe's Pub in downtown Manhattan. Adrianna, what not only I want to know what it felt like to be in front of a sold out crowd at such a renowned venue, but also what it must have been like just to be performing live again.
Gosh, well, stage feels like home, and I was definitely homesick for the past 2 years. It felt amazing to be in front of people, to connect emotionally, to tell my story, and for it to be heard, and even for the entire audience to sing along with me, which I was able to get them to do last night. So that was just really wonderful, and it felt like everybody just needed that release of being, out. So it was great.
And it's amazing.
Actually, I also,
Go ahead.
sorry, I actually also met some really amazing people I didn't expect to see. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, I've seen you on Lost and True Blood, and you're here at the show. This is crazy. So that was really like, whoa, hi, thank you for coming.
Well, Adriana, you better get used to it because you have such an amazing talent that just runs the landscape of so many disciplines within the arts, and we'll get to it. But first and foremost, I want to know, when did your relationship begin with the violin?
I think I was in first grade. My mom basically, I don't want to say coerced me into playing piano, but she definitely coerced me into practicing piano. It was just kind of a family tradition because my grandma had played piano and she never really had the resources to make it a career, so it was kind of inherited. But then I saw a bunch of kids playing violin together, and I told my mom like that's the one, and she listened to me, thank God. So that's how that
That's
happened.
amazing. And Adriana, I want to know too, was there a moment in your career where you were like, I want to create as well, that there's something about my singing in the creating of songs that I need to release for myself? Was there like an aha moment, or was it something that occurred over time for you?
Um, it feels like it was an aha moment, but I think it actually happened over time. Like, say, I went to Townsend Harris High School in New York, and I got into LaGuardia, the Fame High School, but then my
Yeah.
mom was like, "You need to go to a place that's more academically sound," because that was her priority for me.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really have a music program for orchestral instruments. And I went into the poetry program. I'm like, well, this is the closest thing I can get to expressing. And so I learned how to write formal poetry in like iambic pentameter, like sestinas, stuff that's like really crunchy, formal poetry. And I just remember thinking like, I'm gonna be able to use this later.
Mm.
And after I went through college, practicing 5 or 6 hours a day, because I knew like I was so behind in a way that I had to catch up if I really loved music. I had to put in the hours the day after I graduated, I'm like, I'm tired of this. And I met an art gallery curator, a friend, and he's like, well, what do you do for fun? I said, oh, I play violin. He's like, no, what do you do for fun? And it spilled out of me in the way that some
Wow.
people pull the truth out of you,
Yes.
right? Like by accident, or those moments of insight and intuition. And I said, I write songs. I had never written a song in my life. He's like, okay, well, let's put on a show. So he put a show on the books at his gallery a month and a half later, and like rewind to that moment. I'm like, I need to learn how to write
That's
songs.
right. You had a North Star. You had someone who literally put your feet to the fire. But I also love Adriana, and just thinking about all the young Adrianas out there who might feel like what they do for fun, they could never really do for a living, is the fact that like the universe set you up in some way to put those tools in your tool belt, and that you even like clock, ooh, I'm going to use this later. Don't know how or when, but I'm going to use this later. And the fact that you had that friend that was like, month and a half later, you have to do something, or you can just go up there and be, mute.
Yeah, yeah. It
What
definitely
was that
helps to
experience
have a
like for
deadline.
you? I know it helps. I know, especially as artists, right? Because we will always procrastinate to the last minute. What was that moment like
Yeah.
for you to be up on that stage to release those songs?
It was, it's weird when you reach those moments that you like get to that next level. It's both terrifying and exhilarating, but it also feels right.
I know.
And so that, yeah, so that's how that felt like. I actually, it's so funny looking back on it now because I'm like, yeah, everything just came together. I had been online dating, and I was actually like at a moment when I needed friends. I was like, I just need friends who are not work related. I put in the the sexual orientation preferences that were like really not my lane. And like this guy, he like sent me a message. He's like, "What are you doing on this side of the pond?" Turns out that was at the time Andrew Lipa's assistant, and um, he was like, there's a singer-songwriter circle, you should totally come to it. And that's how I learned, by observing these amazing musical theater writers who could write with narrative. And I had never, and like such intelligent and like, that's virtuosity,
That's
patter
right.
songs. It's not right. It's not like just playing scales everywhere and like not being able to connect emotionally. So I looked at that as a kind of like accessible form of virtuosity that I could learn by just watching. Um, and then Ben Scheuer was the one who played guitar on that show at the art gallery. So it all just kind of came together in like a month and a half. Meanwhile, I'm like sweating and praying that this is going to work, and it did. So, yeah.
That's so beautiful. It's honestly making me reminisce of like my own moments of deadline, and just like those moments when you're a little kid and you dream about it, but then literally the Kander and Ebb song, It's a Quiet Thing, comes to mind. You know what I mean? When it all comes through just the way you planned. Funny. What is it? Funny that the bells don't ring. It's a quiet thing. It's just like one of those moments. It's like you're meant to be here, and you just had another one of those moments last night. Last night. What was that? I mean, here you are, you've played Broadway, you've opened for Alicia Keys, you've done so many things all across the gamut. I guess my final question for you, Adriana, and before I get to it, I want to let everyone know. For more on the incredible Adriana, you could read more about her right below this video. Adriana, what's next for you? You have so many tools in the tool belt. You could do and can do and have done everything. Do you have anything that you're working on currently that you're excited to release slash maybe talk a little bit about?
Well, I just signed with Solo Artist Management, so we have a bunch of things in the works, including recording. But in the immediate future, I'm really excited to say that I'm going to be in a production of, it's an all Asian American cast pretty much, and like directed and like conceived of by Asian American women. So that's particularly meaningful because I've often been in rooms where I'm the only person who looks like me. Um, so it's so anyway, like beyond the personal, I think it's just a great piece of work. It's called Specially Processed American Me, and there's going to be a run of it at Dixon Place. So I'll be in that run. Yeah, it's
Wait,
going
that's
to be great.
amazing. Who's it? I mean, who else is involved? Are you allowed to say?
Oh yeah, well, Jamie Sun Woo is, she's at the helm, and she's co-directing with Kareem Washer. I'm going to be both an actor as well as a musical director, so that's going to be super fun. And I get to use a couple different hats, and that's one run. I'm going to be doing a simultaneous run, regional theater, A Christmas Carol, and it's a pared down instrumentation. So basically, the entire production is like a violin solo. So I need to practice.
Will, get off the interview, Will. I have to go practice for my 5 million productions I'm in. Adrianna, I'm so grateful we've met. You are fantastic. I also love just, stalking you a bit on the social media, how many amazing people we know in common, just kind, great people in this business of show. And you are one of them as well. Adrianna Mateo, thank you so much for your time today. And I am so grateful we're connected now.